On this episode of Roll Your Stats, we cover Castiel, the chaotic evil cleric. Bound by fate, but with one hand on the wheel, this tiefling holds the fragile secrets of a future she knows is all but set in stone. Welcome to Roll Your Stats.
Hello, hi, and hello. This is Roll Your Stats. It's a character creation cast. I'm Trevor. We've also got Peyton.
Hello, hello.
And our friend Michael.
Hello.
We're back again to make another character. Boys, how are we doing today?
Oh, I am feeling well. I am ready. I am excited for this.
Yeah, let's see what the dice will hold for us today.
We're here to make another character. So let's do the usual thing. Let's pull up our table here. Let's start off by rolling the race of our character to figure out who we're going to be talking about today. Let's see. We've got a 7, which will give us our first tiefling.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Tiefling. So we're going to have our first demonkin, our first spicy-blooded baby.
Tieflings are probably my favorite race in all of D&D, and I have no clue why, but I just love them so much.
That was going to be my next question. I was immediately like, well, why, Peyton? Why do you think that?
I think it has to do with their background a lot, as like just kind of how they've been treated and shunned for society. They were shunned for so long until like people are just kind of like, okay, I guess we'll accept them because they're not going anywhere, kind of thing. And then they just have to be. They're still kind of looked down upon, I guess you could say, but they're trying to be good people. They're not trying to be complete evil and stuff like that. They're trying to make their redemption. They do have the demonic blood, and these current generations or newer generations, it's not their fault that their ancestors made pacts with devils.
Ooh, that's already sort of hitting on something that I think is a really interesting hook for a character. The struggle of connecting back to your heritage, and is that important, and what does it mean to carry on lineage, or because it's not like a this is my family blood that we're carrying down, or my family name. It's this is my family's curse or something.
I think tieflings just kind of have that innate draw of a little bit of the darker side. They are the demonkin. They are like a player's pretty much closest chance to getting to play like a devil from the nine hells. And so it has that draw of, I always have that bit of bad in me.
Got that bad boy persona.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's just cool. At the end of the day, it's just cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone liked Hellboy, and if you don't, I don't even know what to say.
So then, Michael, if you wouldn't mind, give us a little heads up about what that mechanically means for a player.
What it means to be a tiefling. In the player's handbook, it says, to be greeted with stares and whispers, to suffer violence and insult on the street, to see mistrust and fear in every eye. This is the lot of the tiefling. And to twist the knife, tieflings know that this is because a pact struck generations ago infused the essence of Asmodeus, overlord of the nine hells, and many of the other powerful devils serving under him, into their bloodline. Their appearance, their nature, it's not their fault, but a result of an ancient sin, for which they and their children and their children's children and so on and so forth will always be held account.
Ooh, that's tasty. I like that a lot.
On paper, tieflings get a +2 to charisma. They age and mature at about the same rate as humans do, so they fit right perfectly inside of mortal society. Alignments. Tieflings might not have an innate tendency towards evil, but many of them end up there. Evil or not, an independent nature inclines many tieflings towards a chaotic alignment. They are of human size, which makes them medium. Their speed is 30 feet. They have dark vision. Thanks to their infernal heritage, you have superior vision in the dark and dim conditions. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. Can't discern colors in darkness, only shades of gray. They also come with hellish resistance. This is a race that has resistance to fire damage, making them very tough in certain aspects in certain worlds. And then as a baseline, they can speak and read Common and Infernal.
Talk about a race of people that, as far as just on paper, like you said, that are just built to be warlocks. Yeah, because they've got they can speak Infernal. That's all about this Infernal pact and heritage. I guess you say the word pact, and my brain immediately goes to a warlock. But then you also have they've got a built-in charisma bonus.
They have the same allure that potentially pulled their ancestor into that lifestyle to begin with.
Giving you already like a not a character that's going to come into it with like, oh, the pity party sort of, oh, my parents or my parents' parents made this terrible pact with a demon, and now I'm stuck being horny and hideous my whole life.
Disguise self.
Speaking of that, there are a lot of different bloodlines for tieflings, and so what kind of tiefling you are varies wildly. Just counting these up, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, potentially even 11 different subclasses of tiefling. That is almost more than any other race for an actual background of where you come from.
So then there's a lot of room for variation. I can't even say that they're built for charisma, or not for charisma and for warlocks. That's just one of your options.
That is true. Looking through the list, a lot of them give you bonuses to intelligence.
Yeah, I'm shoehorning this character already. Okay, so then do we want to perhaps... Yeah, we could maybe roll a D12 and say 1 through 11 are all the choices, and 12 is just a roll again to kind of fill the space.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. It does look like one of the options is from Unearthed Arcana. I know that for some tables and some parties, Unearthed Arcana, it fits right in, but for other ones, it skirts that rule of this was brought in from a previous edition, and we don't want to play by those rules because the game was made for the edition that we have, and so we might want to just do a D10 and kind of gloss over the Abyssal Tiefling.
I see. Then is that sort of like the idea behind the Unearthed Arcana? Is that they were pulling things from older editions of the game that they kind of liked and wanted to kind of experiment with putting back in?
Well, now I'm only a certain kind of lore master, but from what I remember, the Unearthed Arcana is a lot of the previous editions, previous rules, previous feats, and fun things that people found throughout the editions. They wanted to kind of update it and bring it into 5th edition. A lot of them fit very well. Some of them ride that line between being fine and being just a hair cheesy if you combine it with other Unearthed Arcana, because 5th edition as a whole wasn't really meant for all of this extra added content. It's been adapted for it.
I see. That's interesting. Thank you for that clarification, Michael. So then, like you said, let's roll us a D10 then, and we can determine what the particular... Actually, if you don't mind, let's roll the D6 to find the gender of the character, just so that we can know how to refer to them.
I like that.
4. It's a lady.
A lady tiefling.
Okay. Let's figure out what type of gal we're talking about. We got the D10 in hand. And we're just gonna go down the list.
Yes. Going down the list. 1 through 9 will be different bloodlines for arch demons from the 9 hells, and then the 10th one is the variant tiefling that came out in Sword Coast Adventure Guide.
See, well, we've got a 7 on the roll, which would be the 7th one down.
Oh, that is Bloodline of Mammon. The great miser Mammon loves coins above all else. Tieflings tied to him excel at gathering and safeguarding wealth.
Him and Brachus
Hello.
would be enemies.
Yeah, I was going to say, alternate dimension Brachus. Hello.
We are not going to be able to escape doing a one-shot or a character let's play of these once we get enough of them. We can't escape it. There's just too many coincidences.
Oh my goodness. Brachus, Verity, and this tiefling with Aurora in the same party is just a crisis for gold and anything.
Yes.
Or Tompa in the mix, stealing is against what he believes in. Oh my goodness.
Talk about just setting up for inter-party conflict.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be wild.
I don't know. I really like that dynamic though, because even the kind of the rigorous, the righteous paladin is only neutral.
Yeah.
Joaquin is only a neutral god, and so at very best, our morally guiding light is the morally guiding light of money.
I could see a big heist kind of like one shot almost with these characters.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that so fits in.
A little bit more insight into the bloodline of Mammon. The ability score increase is a +1 to intelligence, and you have the legacy of Mineros. You know the Mage Hand cantrip. Once you reach 3rd level, you can cast Tensor's Floating Disc spell as a 2nd level spell. Once you reach 5th, you can cast Arcane Lock once a day, and you must finish a long rest to cast these spells again with this trait. Charisma is still your spellcasting ability for these spells.
This character almost kind of needs to be, I feel like, a rogue, some type of rogue-esque, because I feel like they are just going to be some type of bandit. I got a feeling. I don't know.
Oh yeah, this character has sticky fingers.
Oh yeah.
So then, okay, does that mean that we get the +2 charisma score from Tiefling as well as the +1 to intelligence from the bloodline?
I do believe so. Most races come with a +2 bonus in one stat and a +1 in the other one. I believe the bloodline of Mammon just kind of fills in the rest of that by giving you your other +1. So a 2 to charisma and a 1 to intelligence.
That's interesting. I kind of like the way that it's, attaching, there's a reason that this person has a bonus in this stat because it's tied into their bloodline and their heritage, which goes back to the very initial thing about the character and their whole thing being about this pact that goes on in their bloodline and their heritage. So we've got our gender, we've got our tiefling, and it's Mammon.
I guess I could drop a short blurb about Mammon if people don't know who that is.
Yeah, give us good call. If you would, then Michael, if you don't mind, pull up who, like you did with Joaquin, give us just a little teaser about Mammon, and I guess if he has something to do with wealth, like, is there any kind of connection? Like, what's going on with this guy?
Mammon is a god from the Forgotten Realms, sometimes referred to as Mineros, and potentially the richest being in existence. Both literally and figuratively two-faced, the archdevil Viscount was a feckless miser whose only loyalty was to coin, quoted saying, "The count of my coins is more reliable than any roster of mortal hearts or immortal souls."
Wow.
Yeah, sort of like the dark mirror, I guess, of Joaquin. The one who's not looking at actually moving that money through the economy for good purposes and making good things happen. It's I want to hoard this money and I want to know exactly how much I have.
It's like a dragon sitting on its hoard.
Certainly.
I love that comparison. This is kind of the stagnation of everything that Joaquin wants to see.
I see, and then depending on how this tiefling feels about their heritage, that could really inform the interaction between, say, a character like Brachus, Hey, I know this is my, we should be mortal enemies, but, I'm with you, man, I get it, or...
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is next on our table that we need to roll? We had discussed the possibility of rolling like a D100 for age of the character. Is that something that we're interested in integrating?
I think that would be a good idea. It could help, carve out some of the possible experiences for this character and help make a better background for this character, possibly.
I am in on this idea. I think that is awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's give it a shot. Let's roll. I've got percentile die here. Let's give this a shot and see if we get an infant or a geriatric.
Hoping for a 7.
30 on the dot, actually.
Wow, that's a pretty solid age. Been around for a little while, knows some stuff, knows some tricks of the trade.
I have to say, that's not what I expected at all.
This actually makes me really interested in how the dice are going to play out for the class, because a 30-year-old rogue is vastly different than a 30-year-old wizard, which is vastly different than a 30-year-old barbarian.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a really good perspective, because that can mean, a person who's been studying magic for 30 years, that seems like they could really do some devastating stuff. But a barbarian that's been around for 30 years, like that's That's someone who's probably like cut up.
Yeah, he's tough.
Yeah, barbarians don't reach that long out in the wild.
Exactly.
You only see that kind of age in captivity.
Mommy, I want to see the 30-year-old barbarian. Not now, honey.
He's just standing in like a open air like circle. He's surrounded by fences, holding a club like a caveman.
Just got a pile of rocks in front of him.
They have like a bar with no roof on it and no background that he's sitting at, and they just magic beer back on top of it again for him to roam around and pick up when he wants.
Honey, you want to see him rage? It's only a gold to get stuff to throw at him.
Oh my goodness.
He's surrounded by debris and stuff from where he's just been smashing things. So let's see if our dear tiefling is indeed a barbarian in captivity. Let's roll for the class. 9. She's a cleric.
Oh.
Whoa.
Cleric is one of those that I have never played myself, but I have always been so fond of the person in the party that did.
So she's a 30-year-old cleric. Now, are we going to see, I mean, of course, we're probably going to roll to see what kind of, like, you know, subclass or whichever she is. So, I mean, she's seen some things. She's done some healing.
You know, Peyton, I think that you were right. I think that finding the subclass on this character, maybe even more than all of the other ones, is really going to put you in a direction for who the hell she is. Is this character more drawn to her own bloodline, her own lineage, or is this does this character's domain coincide with that, or is she trying to make a new life, kind of separate herself from what she is?
I see what you mean. I think that's one of the most fun parts of doing this completely randomly, because it forces you to get in the situation and get into the headspace of, like, you know, I wouldn't traditionally pair these things together, but how can I make this work? How can I explain this? So in that regard, do we need to first just want to take a look at what cleric has just right off the table, and then we can kind of look into the divine domains and into the gods that she can potentially worship?
Sounds like a comprehensive breakdown if I've ever heard it.
Gotcha. If that's the case, then Michael, hit me with just the basic class features that come along with playing a cleric.
A bare bones level 1 cleric has spellcasting, a +2 proficiency bonus, a divine domain, they know 3 cantrips, and 2 first level spells. Now, what a divine domain is a little bit self-explanatory. Each domain has a list of spells. It's domain spells that you gain at cleric levels noted in the domain description. Once you gain a domain spell, you always have it prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells that you can prepare each day. If you have a domain spell that doesn't appear on the cleric list, the spell is nonetheless a cleric spell for you. I feel like we don't even have a choice. We have to choose a domain. We are locked into finding a domain.
Yeah, we gotta find out which direction this character is pointing at. It's interesting that this character, as a cleric, it seems like you get a lot more choice, I guess, in the direction of your character at level 1 than you do in some of the others. You know, it seems like for what do we had in the past? For Ranger, it was at 2 that they unlocked their fighting style, I believe, which really would have kind of pointed Aurora and her path. Or for Paladin, I think they choose their like hard direction at 3. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're right. That is a very good bit of insight right there. You have a lot more choice with a cleric at level 1, or maybe you're forced to choose more at level 1 if you want to be a cleric. Maybe a cleric is a little bit more of an advanced class for new players.
That makes sense. You do often have the responsibility of being the healer, or being, you know, the one that keeps people alive, which comes with people. Like I said earlier, I've always been fond of the clerics that I have played with. Shout out Taylor Davis. But you also then have the responsibility of making the hard decisions of who do I heal, who do I resurrect, and that carries a lot of weight.
So quick little thing here. Can we roll for their alignment before we get into their domain? I want to see what kind of nature, I guess, this cleric would have. That way we could better align when we do roll for their domain, we better align and see how their personality would fit in with their domain.
That's a really good point, Peyton. So then, do we need to choose?
You are brilliant. We are putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, do we need to choose that first so that then we can maybe rule out certain, domains and say like, oh, well, it wouldn't make sense for an evil person to do this or a good person to.
I agree. We're not going to, outside of some very odd DM caveats, you're not going to find an evil follower of Bahamut.
Right.
Though if anybody ever decides to pitch us an idea for an evil follower of Bahamut, I would love to read it.
Yeah.
So then, Peyton, we'll give that a shot. Let's roll for alignment. I'll grab my D10 here, and we'll give it a roll. 9, chaotic evil.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, how would that even work for a cleric?
Actually, I am very, very, very glad that you asked. Clerics have a whole breadth of gods and deities that they can choose from. The domain that you choose is usually only associated with a deity's alignment and not necessarily a specific deity as a whole. And so, to be a chaotic evil tiefling, it gives you a wide range of deities. You have anything evil, you have anything chaotic, and then depending on your DM, even one step outside of that, you could be chaotic neutral, or you could be evil neutral, or you'd be neutral evil. And so there's probably a pretty wide range of domains that we could pick and choose from.
I will say that I just pulled this page up, and it looks like there's one that looks like it almost fit her perfectly. It would be the death domain. And I mean, if you want to give us a short blurb on that, Michael,
I like the initiative. I like that you see something that you would like to run with, and I'm going to run right beside you. The death domain is concerned with forces that cause death, as well as the negative energies that give rise to undead creatures. Deities such as Chemosh, Mirkul, and Weejas are patrons of necromancers, death knights, liches, mummy lords, and vampires. Gods of death domain also embody murder. They embody pain, disease, and poison, as well as the underworlds. You could stretch anywhere from Anubis to Hades.
That is almost pointing in the direction of comically evil.
Yeah, just sitting there with a sinister grin the whole time.
Yeah,
yes.
Just the bad. But that does also seem like those are such intense things. Death, pain, murder, they're associated with intense emotions and intense feelings. So it does make sense to me that there would be acolytes and worshippers of those things.
This tiefling has no middle ground. Always chaotic and always to the extremes.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't imagine having this person in the party just being just completely batshit, just full the entire time. Just seeing a little kid just walking down the road minding his own business, just pushing him, tripping him. Be like, well, that sucks. And just keep walking and just, oh my gosh.
Maybe we're not giving her enough credit. Being a descendant of Mammon, you do get that bonus on intelligence, and so even through the chaos, even through the evil, surely there still has to be a level of cunning and intelligence behind that for your own self-preservation. Otherwise, how in the world did she even reach 30 years?
Very true.
I see. So there's a scheme. There's always a scheme going. I hate to make the comparison, but it's sort of, kind of Joker.
Yeah, I could see that.
The name just popped into the head. Castile.
Castile.
Is this Castile as in Castile, or is it Tiel, Castiel?
Ooh, that's even better because it fits in with the tiefling sort of background. Castiel.
Castiel.
Yeah, that rules. That's so cool. Very nice.
A little bit more insight into the death domain. At level 1, Castiel is automatically going to know False Life and Ray of Sickness. They also get the ability Reaper. At first level, you learn one necromancy cantrip of your choice from any spell list. When you cast a necromancy cantrip that normally targets only one creature, you can instead target 2 creatures within range that are within 5 feet of each other.
Basically, almost like a necromancer cleric.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So then if let me try to point it in a different direction. what if instead of Domain of Death, we do Domain of Fate? Because that's one that stuck out to me from the list.
Domain of Fate.
So, I like the idea of these things are destined to happen. I'm the agent of chaos that ensures, there's order out of chaos. I'm making sure that these things happen by doing the things that are supposed to happen and like creating the bomb has to go off so that the emergency people are here and that the guy is here so that they can snag him. Something.
I see. Everything kind of happens for a reason, and I have to make sure that they happen. Type deal.
Certainly. Do we want to roll just to see what happens with the roll and see if that maybe points us in a different direction that we wouldn't consider?
Let's see what the dice decide.
Well, yeah, we all have good ideas for any kind of category. Let's find out what category Fate wants us to. I said the word. Yeah, let's roll the dice. Let's see where it wants to carry us.
We've got 14 initial divine domains, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I think if we roll a d20, that'll probably good enough to cover most of the options.
That would cover all of the divine domains that are given to you in the player's handbook and a lot of like the D&D official.
Yeah, the standard kind of stuff. Sure. So let's just roll to see what we get. We got a 10. So that would be 10. Peace.
What was it?
Peace.
Oh, wow.
That one might be hard to do.
Oh.
So Fate might be the way to stick with. In that case, do you want to go ahead and give us that rundown of Fate?
A Fate Domain Cleric. Gods of Fate perceive the future and how the choices of mortals make and drive them forward to their destinies. Some deities consider the future preordained, while others understand that the multiverse is a place of infinite possibilities. Clerics who draw power from the forces of fate sometimes receive visions directly from their deity, receiving fleeting omens of the future. They share impossible knowledge with their allies and prophesize their enemies' doom. Some of the pantheon that you may be able to dip into with the Domain of Fate is Savras, Istis, Gillian, and Libellus and Noreth. Other abilities that a Fate Domain Cleric would get: at first level, you have access to Dissonant Whispers and Heroism. Those are automatically on your Cleric spell list, regardless of if they are Cleric spells or not. And then they also get Omens and Portents. At first level, you can perceive signs of the future in everyday objects and events, such as flights of birds or ripples made in water by a thrown stone. You can cast the Augury spell without expending a spell slot, and when you cast the spell in this way, the spell has no verbal, somatic, or material components. Once you cast the spell in this way, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. In addition, until you finish a long rest, you can cast a divination spell that includes a chance that the DM gives you no answer or a random reading, such as augury, commune, or divination, but you reduce that chance by 25%. So your eyes into the future are a little bit more narrowed, a little bit more accurate than someone who would be casting those spells just on the fly.
So this is telling me, and this is one of these cool things about mechanical things about the character, telling us things about their personality. Because this is telling me, okay, this is a person who can see the future. Her god speaks directly to her. That makes sense to me that Castile would be a psychopath. She's just nutty.
God.
She's completely
a heretic, or not a heretic, but
maybe not heretic. Yeah, but what's the word that's sort of like that? Where she's just fanatical.
Fanatical is a great way to spin chaotic. I think that being chaotic and being fanatical kind of go right hand in hand, especially with a god of fate, because you are tied directly to fate's thread. And so what might make sense to you and seem like the order of things is probably going to come across as wackadoo crazy for anybody who can't hear the whisperings of your god.
Yes, absolutely. And that makes for like an interesting, really cool portion of this character is this struggle between, her sanity and her psychosis.
Oh God.
Am I even sane? Am I hearing the voice of my god? Is this just me telling me these things? She uses her augury spell and she's looking at the path that the birds are flying, or she throws some rocks and determines, what would the rest of the party think whenever she throws some rocks and says, yeah, my god tells me that we need to go this way.
Okay.
Whatever.
Imagine how the party would view Castiel as well when her god is more right than wrong in comparison with other divination spellcasters that, you know, are not common but out and about in a D&D setting. But her predictions are always malicious. They are always evil. They are always the negative outcome.
Gosh.
And then say if you can maybe work this out with your DM as sort of like a flavor thing, but maybe you and I don't know if you'd want to limit yourself in this kind of way, but make it to where like her augury and divination is only like it only works when it talks about like horrific things or bad things, and whenever she tries to use it for good, it just like doesn't work.
Call her Castiel the Omen kind of thing.
Whoa!
There we go. And you know what? I always love working with the ideas of how can we take the power that I already have, but find some way to even really further limit its scope, but give me a lateral movement in exchange. I love the idea that you can cast divination and augury and all that stuff, and you do have that reduced chance at getting like a false answer, but if you ask an even more specific and even more mean-spirited question of the future, your god is even more likely to give you the truth.
Gosh, so like, you know, people around her, if she's like in her hometown or something, or her name has spread, he's like, oh my gosh, is that the Omen? What's going to happen to us? Like, something bad is going to happen.
She is Mothman. I like this. I like this a lot. I think that a fate domain cleric can be incredibly powerful.
Certainly. I love the idea of, you know, this, she's almost like she's the girl on the street corner with the end is nigh sign. No matter where they go, she's just, you know, always the parties, like they're walking around and they turn and look, and where's Castiel? Well, she's over talking to some stranger, telling him that like, oh, you've only got like 16 more hours, so enjoy that drink. Or, you know, you better go home and hug your son. It may be the last time. You know, just spreading these horrible things around.
I could see this. She's got a permanent sign like tied to her horns in like branded leather that says the end is coming.
What if the omens that she gives out, what if she got her nickname because the only bit of future reading and divination that she ever hands out is evil?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She is known as the Omen not because she can't read bits and pieces of the future, but because the only bits and pieces of the future that she does read and then share with other people is the evil, is the malicious, is the negative. And that is her attempt at kind of guiding the hand of fate, is that the only time that you get to read the future is when she reads the future that is the evil future.
Instead of a fortune teller, she's a misfortune teller.
Yes.
People come to pay her to see what kind of bad things is going to happen in the future to them.
So then there's this weird kind of association with it too that comes along with, it's like the association that people have with doctors. You know, they're there for the purpose of telling you what's wrong with you, but no one wants to go and tell them because they never want to hear what is actually wrong with them. So people are apprehensive about going to her, so they don't want to hear about the bad things. But then there's some people that are like, oh no, like she's the one that I want to talk to, so I can figure out how I can prepare or how I need to like set things up to then combat that once it has happened.
Almost like an evil seer at this point.
Ooh, that's cool. I like the idea of there's Castiel. She's the girl that, you know, lives off on the side of town. Most people don't interact with her because they don't really like what she has to say.
Castiel, the Omen Seer.
Or maybe Castiel, the Omen of Misfortune.
Yes, I like that one.
Castiel, the Ill Portent.
Ooh, what kind of party would Castiel fit into most cohesively?
I was going to say, I do think you're jumping the gun. I think we need some personality traits, and I think we need to know. I think we need to do the thing. You know what I mean?
Uh-oh.
We need to RYS. You know, like we're talking about taking a dog outside without actually saying outside. You know, because
you're right.
The dog can't spell. in that case, shall we get some personality traits, learn just a little bit more about Castiel, and then D the DT?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to roll this D20 2 times. We're going to find out a little about Castiel, the Omen. 8. Unstable.
That makes sense.
I love it. I love it.
The dice tell a better story than we do.
You're so right. It's fate.
It's the Omen. She's rolling herself.
Yes, I'm channeling Castiel right now. All right, here comes the second. 16. Chronic liar.
Oh, dude. Oh, no, you're going to be fine. No, you're dead in a ditch tomorrow.
You are right, though, Peyton. You are right. You are right. This is a character who does see someone's future, but might not tell them the truth about it.
I so agree. That tells me someone who, it's not a thing that it's not mechanical. It's not that, oh, your powers only work for evil. Whenever you try to work them for good, they just don't work. She just has where she doesn't have a choice. Instead, it is a choice. Whenever it does work for good, she just chooses to ignore it.
Yes.
Sorry, I just didn't see anything. And then she calls the other guy to go and get the other guy, who then comes and she's like, hey, this is what this guy said.
Oh my goodness, her and Aurora would work so well together, because say something bad happens to these people, they could go, oh yeah, hey Aurora, go post up in this area. This is what I saw is going to happen to this group of people, so you could go help them.
I foresee safe travel through the ice pass. And then immediately contacts Aurora. There's going to be an unguarded caravan in the ice pass.
Mm-hmm. In the Aurora short, she spoke about talking to Asir about the weather.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. So Castiel's from Govi Altai, because it just fits.
It's fitting, yeah. She is rolling herself at this point, so...
I'm seeing a dueling parties let's play in our future between the arguably neutral and maybe good characters running congruent to these just downright dogs.
And then say they have to work together at some point.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. Alrighty, so we've got those personality traits down. That tells us a little bit more about Castiel. So then let's find out where we have the potential to find that cohesion for her in a party. And let's, drum roll please, gentlemen, roll your stats. Or would it be roll my stats? Roll her stats?
I'm just going to set off air horns whenever you say the line.
All right, so we're going to roll 4d6s, and we're going to drop the lowest. That's the traditional way of just randomly rolling stats. I've got my d6 here. Does anyone want to keep tabs of the numbers for me?
I will take down the numbers for you.
Thank you, Peyton. This is a podcast that is centered around brotherhood. It is centered around everybody pulling their weight. It is centered around everyone working together. This is a collaborative effort, and so that's why I just roll the dice. All right, so let's start with this first stat. Let's roll the 6 and see where we go. We're going to roll it 4 times and drop the lowest. 3, 5. Oh, wait, no, that's a 6. I'm so sorry. So 3, 6, 1, 2. All right, and here comes the second stat. 3, 6, 2. That'll be 11. Okay, here comes the next stat. 5, 6, 3, 3. 5, 6, 3. 14. 4, 4, 5, 2. 4, 4, and 5. That'll be 13. 4, 6, 6, 1. So 6, 6, and 4. That gives us a 14. Wait, that gives us a 16.
16.
1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 2 more to do. 1, 5, 2, 2, 5, 2, and 2. You've got a 9 there. There had to be 1. That just had to be. 6, 4, 4, 5. So a 6, 4, 5, which will give us a 15.
That's a pretty solid character right there.
Yeah, off the bat, we've got some good stuff going on. That 1-9 in there, you know, it's one of those things where it's one of the, you know, you don't ever want to see a number that gives you a negative, but you know, it always makes for a more realistic character because you can't be good at everything.
Very true.
Oh yeah, I'm almost excited about the negative numbers that my character is going to get, because that kind of gives me an angle, a trope, if you will, of what I'm going to be bad at.
Yep.
That's a good way to think about it. It was like, how can I turn this into a like reoccurring bit that is just, you know, surrounds my character.
All right. So our six numbers that we're looking at is an 11, a 14, a 13, a 16, a 9, and a 15.
Before we dig into any of those stats, Michael, do you have any particular good example of any time that's happened to you off the cuff?
Oh man, with the character that I'm playing right now, the half-orc bard Rogarth, his intelligence is dog water. He has 8 intelligence, but he has high charisma, and he is very, very apt to wanting to talk. He wants to speak. I like playing him as a very social character, but I also really like pitching ideas for plots and plans and ways for the party to handle situations that are obviously not going to work, or maybe only ever halfway thought out. When I pitch an idea to a character or to the party, whenever I have maybe a scheme or something that I would like to pull off, I really enjoy being able to almost play it a little dumb, because that gives the party around me chances to kind of maybe take the skeleton of the idea that Garth might have and then actually build it into a functioning idea and not a ding-dong wackadoo proposal that's obviously going to get us killed.
Then at the very end, after they've said all that, they've created this idea off of your idea, they'd be like, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes.
We have one last bit about the fate domain before we kind of get into the rest of the stuff. At first level, we also gain a ability called Ties That Bind. Michael, do you want to give us a little bit about that?
Ties That Bind. At first level, you can temporarily tie your fate to others. As an action, you can touch one object or creature and magically tie a strand of fate from yourself to it for 1 hour or until you use this feature again. An unwilling creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC to resist this effect, and while the target is bound to you on the same plane of existence as you, you can sense the direction to the target's location, and you know the direction of its movement if it is in motion. In addition, once per turn, when you cast a spell using a spell slot to deal damage or to restore hit points to the target, roll a d6, and the target receives extra damage or healing, respectively, equal to the number rolled. You can use this feature's action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Man, if that does not just tie right into the chaotic nature, you pick to heal or to hurt.
Wow, that's a really strong spell, though.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, especially being able to cast a heal and then get that additional d6 on it. Though this even makes you wonder if we're even going to have a cleric who would even choose to heal. You know, is this going to be a cleric who just takes all of the, you know, aggressive spell options?
I could see this really being used on a party member as a passive means of being able to track a character that you could not watch.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
This is your in to being able to kind of follow the rogue as they make their way into the castle and unlock the front gates. This is your chance to tell if they get drugged down to the dungeon or if they are making their way as planned.
Oh wow, yeah, you're so right. Because it says if you're on the same plane of existence, you can track them. That's killer. In that case, let's start looking in at these actual. Let's look at the numbers. Show me the numbers. Because we also have to keep in mind we've got a +2 in charisma and a +1 in intelligence. So where do you guys think we could allocate these to be the best to work for Castiel?
The 16 is likely still going to be racked into the wisdom, because that's just what her casting is going to be based around. And to have a cleric worth their salt, they need to be able to cast their spells that aren't going to just be shrugged off. My vote is the 16 goes to wisdom.
I see that. Yeah, because you're not going to get any benefit from the heritage or like the origin or the race. So you might as well put the highest number in there to get the biggest modifier that you can. And with that 16, that gives us a hefty +3, and then anything that you use your proficiency, that gives you a +5. So a +5 at level 1, that's what you're looking for. So then clerics have the ability to wear heavy armor, but honestly, whenever I picture Castiel in my head, we've been talking about this seer, I see this, frail, fragile kind of looking figure that's pale and has, a cloak and hood and rags and stuff. I don't see her walking around in a suit of armor. So that may be just something I need to shift the perspective. What do you guys think?
Maybe since she's like 30 years old, she's like starting to lean towards that direction. Maybe.
Yeah, I think the concept of a seer, and really the direction like that this cleric takes might not be the stereotypical heavy armored cleric of D&D. I like the idea of a wisdom-based kind of a religious caster that is still thin, that is still lightly armored, and so I don't see Castiel wearing plate. I don't see her wearing heavy armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, though it could be one of those things where we say, for her being, she's 30, she's getting close to middle age. She's more caster focused. We can then just maybe put the 9 in strength and just say this is not going to be the person that's on the front line with a shield, or maybe she would still carry no, because with a 9 strength she wouldn't even be able to carry the shield. Is that correct? Don't you have a strength threshold that you have to hit to even carry one?
Right, I think it is only armor that comes with a strength necessity.
I see. Well then, yeah, I think still then strength be the 9, because she's not muscular, she's not going to hit hard, but still be able to take kind of at least some benefit from the constitution and getting at least kind of like some good health out of that.
I mean, that fits because she is predicting what's happening, so she truly doesn't need to be in the front lines, hacking and slashing. She can be in the back if she has to.
Oh, nice. And what if we boost up her constitution to give her more health, but then we flavor it more or less by it's the times that you do get hit, you're making sure that it's you see fate, you're going to get hit, and so you're making sure that you take the least damaging hit as possible or something.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I could see this character running around maybe in medium armor rather than the full-blown heavy armor that comes with a strength requirement. Maybe she does use the medium armor bonus, and then maybe she just has a little bit more dex to kind of move out of the way as need be.
Oh, I see. So then we want to put the 15 in dexterity so that she gets that +2 from that?
Ooh, that would line her up right perfect with a breastplate. Visually still lining up with kind of the heavy armor of a cleric, but it comes with no strength requirement, and it allows you a dex modifier of +2.
Oh, I think that's perfect. What would that give to AC?
It is 14 plus dex, so without the shield, she's already sitting at a pretty 16.
I believe.
That's pretty solid.
Let me take a look at cleric here. You would begin with a mace or a warhammer, scale mail, leather mail, or chain mail, leather crossbow, simple weapon, priest pack, explorer's pack, a shield, and a holy symbol. So she would get the shield, so she'd have 18 off the bat.
Oh, tough.
Tough.
I mean, she's been around the block. She's been around for a little while.
Yeah. A cleric 3 decades in has probably heard plenty of scripture, has had a real good chance to kind of flex their clerical might. She's probably well into the swing of being who she is.
I think we should then maybe put the 14 in Constitution, give her the +2 as well there. Then if we give her the, we can do the 13 in Intelligence and then the 11 in Charisma. That way they both get bumped up to about the same.
Yeah,
You make sense. You make good sense.
Yep.
So 13 in Intelligence, +1 would make it a 14, which gives her a +2. Then Charisma would be 11. +2 would give us a 13, giving us final stats of Strength, Strength 9, -1 modifier, Dex 15, +2 modifier, Constitution 14, Intelligence 14, +2 modifier, Wisdom 16, and then Charisma 13. How does that sound to you?
That sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, this sounds like she is set up to really do the damage that her class can do, but also kind of gives her a range to multi-class if if there is something that might be to your calling.
Oh my goodness, have her take on, what is it? No, I was gonna say she could take on like a warlock-esque type stuff, but no, that her isn't the highest, so.
True that. So that would make her health, which would be 8 plus her constitution, so she would have a solid 10. That 18 AC, which is colossal. She would have proficiency in wisdom and charisma saving throws. And then she would get to choose between
It's that accent coming out.
Right, for real. Where am I from? She would also get to choose between the skill proficiencies of history, insight, medicine, persuasion, religion. She would get to choose 2 of those. What's your perspective on that, boys?
I would say insight for sure.
I agree. Castiel seems like a character who would have a pretty good idea of when to hold them and when to fold them, when to lie and when not to lie. So then on top of insight, I just can't see medicine.
Yeah.
Not medicine. Religion is a staple, but it almost seems a little bit too predictable for a chaotic, unstable, chronically lying character.
Ooh, but it does fit in really well with her whole, drive of her character being from her, her craziness that descends from her god. This divine
Zealotry.
Yeah, this divine zealotry.
You're right.
So religion really does fit in. However, we do get skill proficiencies that come along with the background. So do you want to look at a background for her first?
You know what? Let's see. Let's take a look at the background.
The first ones, if I'm just looking at my list here, that pop off out of my head: Sage, Hermit.
Say it out loud, don't we?
Yes, sir. Sage, Hermit, Haunted One, Criminal, Charlatan, Acolyte. I possibly like the idea of Charlatan. It's all kind of about finding out people's desires and then finding out how to manipulate that, use it to your advantage.
I feel like that fits a bit better.
That's the case, it would give her skill proficiencies in deception and sleight of hand, which would then leave us open to take whatever we want.
The deception, that's I'm thinking is probably more than persuasion.
Yeah, I hear you there, Peyton. Yeah, that it's all about the intent, and it's always for the negative.
Oh my goodness. If you look at the charlatan, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
What were you about to say?
The features of a charlatan come with favorite schemes, and right off the very, very bat, the number 1 on the D6 is, I cheat at games of chance.
Hey! Yes, sir.
Wow. Yep, there it is.
Yes,
yep,
sir.
We've got our background.
Absolutely. And then the proficiencies, disguise kit and forgery kit, so she can I can be anybody. I can have a writ from anybody.
So then we are going with the charlatan background, and we are citing on, what was it, insight and religion?
Yes, sir. Insight, religion, deception, sleight of hand are what would be all coming along with those things. Once again, in record time, well, maybe not record time. I think the other episodes have been a little bit more succinct. But once again, we have created Castiel, who is a character who is immediately this complex, interesting, wacko character that's got, rad motivations that are pushing her along. This is really cool.
Yeah, I can see it. I feel like Castiel is maybe a very good idea if you wanted to play a character that was evil in a party that wasn't based around being evil, is that your evil is just a little bit more chaotic. Your evil kind of comes from your god, and you're just a bit of a liar, but you don't use that against the party. It is just who you are and how the people around you know you.
Don't expect to be healed by this character.
Not a chance. Not a chance. One of the other interesting things about a level 1 cleric is you come with spells in the bag, so you get those 3 cantrips, and you also get 2, I believe, first level cleric spells. That means we get to go into, for the first time I think, spell save DC and spell attack modifier for a character. So her spell save DC would be 8 plus her proficiency of 2 plus her wisdom modifier, which would be 3, so that gives us 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
At level 1, a 13 DC for some of the cleric spells is downright scary. On the spells that are really save or suck, A 13 might be a death sentence.
Yeah.
That also gives her a spell attack modifier of +5, so you get to add +5 to all of your spells right off the bat.
Jeez.
Well, then now if I can revisit the question, where in the world would Castiel fit into a party?
Yes, really good time to bring that back up. So we've got a character with high wisdom, decent charisma, proficiency in deception, sleight of hand. This could kind of be the, in a lot of MMOs, you have in the group gathering, you've got the tank, and then for bigger things, you've got the off tank. Perhaps if they were in a group with someone like Aurora, who is the face, she could be the off face. I can kind of chat my way out of situations, but then also using that wisdom, she's using those insight checks to gain a better reading of the situation before she goes in.
What if she is like not intentionally, like the group doesn't think that she's their leader, or like other people don't think she's the leader of their group, but in all reality she is. She's the oldest member. She's the planning all this out. She can, deceive people. She can deceive her. She's insightful. She, can tell not someone's lying to her, and she can link to people in her party. Aurora, she says, hey Aurora, we got this group that I saw, like you guys said, out in the frozen wastes. I'm gonna link to you. I want you to go out there, and if you're not back in an hour, I'm sending Grievous out to get you.
That's where she fits. That the party with her and Aurora, maybe a kind of a dastardly campaign. Maybe this is a character that fits into a D&D story where maybe not everyone is the knight in shining armor and they always do the right thing. Instead, this might be a group of vagabonds. You might play this character if you really had your chance to kind of just be a little evil.
Yeah.
I feel like at some point we've mentioned Grievous a couple times. We're almost gonna have to roll him up.
Yeah, he'll be one of those that later on we'll be rolling a character and we'll be like, oh, it's an orc. Oh, it's a fighter. Oh my gosh, it's Grievous.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I think you're so right. I think that's really where she would excel, being in that party that's pushing down the untrodden path of not doing the best, not having the best intentions. And then that could maybe be her motivation, similar to Aurora, her motivation for leaving her home base, I guess, and moving out to go and interact with the party. Maybe it's something similar to Aurora. Maybe they did establish one of those schemes, and we talked about Aurora being well known for being facetious, and so maybe they've both used up all of the good nature that's around them, and they both gotta look, we gotta go somewhere else to find more people to lie to, because everybody knows who we are and everybody knows that we don't tell the truth.
I mean, she is the Omen, so I mean that would spread quick.
Oh man, you're so right. And that's one of those other things. She has this reputation that precedes her.
So they'd have to go somewhere where not a lot of people would know about them, or how far that her name has spread.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. And then maybe having a conflict of, I don't want this reputation, but also I kind of do, because all press is good press. She's maybe a little bit, saying it's a little bit making her flattered, maybe a little bit full of herself, because she's like, oh man, look how far ranging my premonitions reach. Look how many years
my reputation precedes me.
Yeah, and that's cool, but also I have to face the consequences of that as well.
Of my own reputation.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, she is an unstable religious zealot nutbag.
And really, every D&D party kind of needs one of those sometimes.
I could see that being too. Maybe she's sort of the motivator. She's the one that says, I'm crazy enough to do this, and you guys are coming with me.
You don't have a choice.
I see the hands of fate, and you and I are bound to one another, whether you know it or like it or want it or not. Our stories are intertwined.
And then she's going about and she's doing things that, intentionally on her part, but then it's just the Rube Goldberg machine of things falling into place to make sure the party has to go with her, because well, I've got this one responsibility, and then she's like, okay, well, I'll make sure that guy gets killed so that you don't have that responsibility anymore, or something like that.
Oh wow, yeah.
Goodness, maybe this is even her own in to getting into a party that isn't necessarily evil, is that she can kind of put like certain aspects of who she is and how she wants to be aside, because she follows the gods of fate and she knows that she has to be here. She knows that she has to work with a party that might not necessarily agree with how she would do things, and so she is willing to suppress her nature because the greater scheme of her nature is tied to fate.
I see, and there's something, it's greater than.
So she almost maybe would be willing to put some of her more evil and chaotic tendencies on a back burner if she was kind of told to.
I see. What if she kind of has these moments of clarity, I guess, these moments of self-control where she can, like you said, kind of gain a hold over it and not just be a walking tornado.
Maybe when she's talking to her god for the moments that she are talking or listening, like she like this, like her vision kind of like focuses back in, and like that instability kind of melts away for a time being, and she can do all this quick thinking while she's conversing with God.
I really, I love that idea that she gains clarity only in the moments when she is hearing the most insane babble from a deity in another plane.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's so cool. Almost like she's gotten so attuned to hearing this language that is not meant for mortal ears, that in those moments that she can hear it and she gets this clarity and it like speaks directly into her brain, but then when she's dropped back into reality, she's having to, it all sounds like mumbo jumbo. It all just sounds overwhelming, and just this wave of nauseous nothing comes over her because she's used to hearing like the words of a god, I guess, and so then she's almost walking in between planes in a way, and that just drives her mad.
Oh man, I like that idea.
This seems like actually a very, very fun character to play, especially in a more heavily maybe narrative based game, a game that is really character driven. Castiel seems like just such a fun character to be able to explore and play out in a party.
Yeah, would we want to take a look at our cleric spell, like our cantrip and our first level spells? Because we get 3 cantrips and 2 first level spells. You want to kind of give a brief, we don't have to dig too far in, but just kind of casting glance of what we think that she might have.
Yes.
Guidance, 100,000% guidance.
Oh yeah, that's almost a necessity.
Yeah, one, it is just like the goat of all spells. One of them, at least, that is totally in line with her. Oh well, oh no, you need to be standing here. She moves their foot over, just a little bit, that it is fate. That's supposed to happen, but you need to be looking up when you're doing it.
I love that so much. It like is her concept of guidance, like in game, her variation of guidance is shifting your foot just a few more inches or pushing your shoulder to get you to like look behind you just as an arrow whizzes over your head.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yes.
It's almost malicious and almost kind of mean in a way where it seems like she's picking on you when she does it, but it just barely pushes you over the edge of failing or succeeding in the right direction.
Maybe when she offers her guidance, like, oh hey, can I get guidance on this? Someone asks, and it's oh sure, and then she just doesn't do it.
Yes.
What if it's all like mean sarcasm, and right before a party member attempts to make a skill check, she just kind of chimes in real quick with, yeah, it'd be really nice if you could get that done. And the anger that it sparks in the other characters is what pushes them to further feats.
Hilarious.
That's their guidance.
Yes, that's hilarious. That's so funny. What else from this list? We've got, if we do that when we get 2 more options, is there anything else that stands out to you?
I am a little bit partial to the cantrip Resistance. It is, again, not a great boon, but it's kind of a guidance for saving throws.
Resistance, no, I'm with you. I think that's a cool one. I guess let me retroactively say, we said we weren't going to go too far in, but just it should be said, guidance just allows the cleric targets someone and then gives them a d4 bonus on top of whatever roll that they're making. And so it lasts for a minute. If they're making consecutive rolls, it can still last throughout that. So then resistance, you would add the d4. I believe, does that go on to a saving throw specifically? Whereas the guidance would go on to an ability check?
Yes, where guidance would help you proactively in getting what you want done. Resistance is a D4 that you can add onto a saving throw to maybe save you from harm.
Yeah, once again, I think that fits in line to of her just sort of plucking the threads of fate just a little bit to wishy-washy, just push things the way that they're supposed to happen. I think with her focus on being the backup face and having kind of a little bit good charisma, thaumaturgy, and getting those intimidation checks, where giving her the chance to, I feel like that it says it gives you it makes your voice boom louder and it makes your whole thing a spectacle. And so I think that fits into her background of like how she does get people's attention is by making a big spectacle of when she's delivering her premonitions.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
Thaumaturgy does fit very perfectly into the seer's routine, standing on the street corner and telling people that the end time is coming.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, ooh, and say her shield is her, like it says the end is nigh on it.
Carved into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so then we would have guidance, resistance, thaumaturgy. Hop over to, let's look at some first level cleric spells and see if there's anything that stands out.
A little bit of a side note, clerics have an interesting concept of spell casting where you choose your spell list every morning in your prayers, but you can choose from the entirety of the list.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so then every time you get the long rest, you can prepare and you can pick any spell from this list. Wow.
The cantrips you are locked into, but your first level, second, third, and so on spells from there, that changes the morning of, or maybe the night of, depending on how your character is played. But yeah, it is a very fluid option.
Oh, cool. And that gives you the ability to kind of, say you're gearing up for something in particular. You can say, okay, well, I need these particular spells. We're dealing with things that deal poison and disease, and you take specifically, today I will take and detect poison and disease. Maybe this day she says, I might actually have to heal, so I'll take cure.
Though looking at the first level spell list, I do think that a pretty quintessential Castiel spell would be Guiding Bolt.
I 100% agree with you. What's your thought process there, Michael?
Guiding Bolt for a first level spell hits like a Mack truck. It does 46 damage, and so you have the damage right there at your own fingertips, but it also comes with a little bit bonus. You get a little bit extra. The next attack roll made against the target that you hit has advantage, and so you guide the hand of fate just a little bit further on top of your Thunderbolt with helping the next person along in their attack.
Yes, sir. Exactly what I was thinking.
Another one that kind of stands out, another one I think that would be fun, detect evil in good. So you know your audience as you come in before you ever even start proselytizing and screaming to the heavens that the end is nigh. You can get a sense of your audience before you come into it.
Yeah, that checks out to me too, because she would have that either intuitive sense or she would have that pre-knowledge going into any situation. I feel like that's one of Castiel's probably her best quality, is that she's never caught off guard.
Oh.
Another one I'm looking at here, I don't know how well this would fit, but would be ceremony, because there's so many options to choose from here. I mean, you've got atonement, coming of age, dedication. I mean, there's a few that are on here that would be kind of fitting. I mean, like every morning she could do a ceremony for her, crazy followers, if anyone does follow her. So like dedication, you touch one human who wishes to be dedicated to your God's service for the next 24 hours. Whenever that target makes a saving throw, it can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the save. So I mean,
and Peyton, I think you did hit the nail right on the head with ceremony. You have so many options, just so many different things to choose from. It fits right into her chaotic nature of this ceremony could be anything.
Ooh, I see what you mean. And I like that. That's interesting, and using the character to kind of point you in a direction. That's cool.
Oh my goodness! And think of it this way: say someone's, Aurora's starting to have a change of heart. Per se, she has atonement. You touch a willing creature whose alignment has changed, and you can make a DC 20 Wisdom check. On a successful check, you restore the target to its original alignment. So just keep people evil, basically.
That hand is firmly on the wheel
Oh
of fate.
yeah, and that's yeah, that totally fits in with her having this. I've got my hand on the wheel of fate. Maybe she's got some kind of complex about her having control over it. Am I pushing things in the way that they're supposed to go, or was it, fate is pushing me to push them in the way they're supposed to go, or is it it's all just craziness and I'm the one in control?
I think through the course of a campaign, Castiel would give you both answers.
Oh, very good perspective. Yeah. Very good. I think that just about covers our basics of character creation. When you guys say?
Yeah, I'd say we've got a pretty interesting character here.
I would agree. This Castiel would be so much fun to play.
So then in that case, let me just do like a quick little rundown. We would have Castiel, the female tiefling. They are born under Mammon. They're Castiel the Omen, who is a chaotic, evil cleric with a 9 in strength, a 15 in dex, a 14 in constitution, a 14 in intelligence, a 16 in wisdom, and a 13 in charisma, with skill proficiencies in insight, religion, deception, sleight of hand, a handful of really good spells off the bat: guidance, thaumaturgy, resistance, dissonant whispers, heroism, augury, guiding bolt, detect good and evil, ceremony. I think this automatically is going to be a character with a really fun and interesting kit, and something that I feel like this is a character that if you pre-ginned this character and put any player behind the wheel of this character, you present them with a really interesting challenge. Like, I honestly wouldn't say that this would probably be a good character for someone who's like a beginner, because this whole plucking the threads of fate seems kind of like there's a lot of weight and a lot of weird spells that aren't very direct.
I agree. I feel like you would almost have to be kind of like the driving member of the party at times.
I think both of you are right. Maybe have just this is a character that you would want to play when you have very good chemistry with the party that you are in, because you have a really strong chance of hurting the people that you're playing with, and so there has to be maybe like a degree of understanding, or maybe a narrative, appreciation for what the character is, so that you don't step on any toes while you go about doing what you're doing.
Just for clarification, did you say hurting as in HERD or HURT?
Yes.
I see. Good call. Good call. That's that. Attaboy. Okay, so with that, I think it's a good chance for us to move into our final section. We're just going to grab a random fictional character, gen up someone, and then allocate some stats to them and see where they would fit into the tabletop experience.
All right, so the 5 generated characters that we've got Darth Vader, Prince Charming, Neville Longbottom from Harry Potter, the Grinch, and then the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland.
Grinch.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
Grinch.
Well, you've talked me right into it. So he's a rogue, right?
No, 100%.
Oh, I think so. The Grinch is a rogue.
Yes.
So we've got the Grinch. He's gonna be a rogue. Let's take a look at what a rogue gets real quick.
I mean, he's gotta not be a stealthy rogue at all.
Oh my gosh.
Because everyone knows about him.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Like, we'll build him as a thief, but give him like real crappy decks.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember playing Oblivion in the they had an orc that was in the rogues guild, like the thieves guild? There was an orc, but he used a big heavy like two-hander, and he just really banked on being just a thug, and his sneak attack when he comes up on you with that two-hander is just going to be enough to murder you in one shot, and there was like almost no stealth to him at all.
Yeah.
I remember that character. I always think that was such a weird, fun way to play what would be kind of sneaky. Instead, it's like, I just use a two-hander, and I really bank on getting up behind you when you're not looking and cracking you in the head.
no one sees me, and even if they do, they don't remember it. That's how I accomplish stealth. Rogues get a handful of things at level 1. Michael, you want to tell us about expertise, sneak attack, and thieves' cant?
I do. A level 1 rogue comes with a handful of abilities. The first one is expertise. At level 1, rogues get expertise. Choose 2 of your skill proficiencies, or 1 skill proficiency and your proficiency with your thieves tools. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check that you can make using either of your chosen proficiencies. At 6th level, you can choose 2 more to gain this benefit. You also get sneak attack. Beginning at 1st level, you know how to strike subtly and exploit a foe's distraction. Once per turn, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage to one creature you hit with an attack if you have advantage on the attack roll. You must use a finesse weapon or a ranged weapon. You don't need advantage on the attack roll if another enemy of the target is within 5 feet of it. The enemy is incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. So if they are within 5 feet of a friend, or they are incapacitated and you don't have disadvantage, the amount of extra damage that is increased grows with the level that you have in Rogue. Then finally, you get Thieves' Cant. During your Rogue training, you learn Cant, a secret mix of dialect, jargon, and code that allows you to hide messages in normal conversation. Only another creature that knows Thieves' Cant can understand such messages. It takes 4 times longer to convey such a message than it does to speak the same idea plainly. And in addition, you understand a set of secret signs and symbols used to convey short, simple messages, such as whether an area is dangerous or the territory of a thieves guild, whether there is loot nearby, or whether the people in the area are marks or will provide a safe house.
His Thieves' Cant would be in the melody of da-na-na-na, da-na-na. Da-da, da-da, da-da.
Yes.
Cactus, you're as cuddly as a squid. So then if the Grinch is a rogue, what kind of rogue is the Grinch? Which one of these archetypes?
Thief fits because it's totally what he was going for, and he was just stealing things, but at the same time I don't want him to be good at it.
Yeah.
Then again, he was really good at it though. You know, he like
That one time.
took everything from these people's households and like did it right under their noses. Took every single ornament off trees, you know? So
All right, he did rob a town collectively.
Entirety.
Then that might be your very best bet. The Grinch might be a thief rogue. Steals Christmas.
Yeah.
that's right. And then depending on which version, like if we're talking pre-story Grinch, he would have low charisma, and then if we're talking post-story Grinch, we got high charisma because his heart grew all those sizes.
Oh yeah. Maybe he takes a different class.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
there we go.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, what class do you think he would be after he has his change of heart?
Oh man.
Dare I say Paladin?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like a paladin of Christmas,
Yes.
A paladin of childhood innocence.
Yes. When his heart grew those sizes that day, he gained a rank, or maybe a few ranks in Paladin, because now he has a new oath not to steal Christmas, but to preserve it.
That rules, man.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I think we've kind of covered the Grinch.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. All right, boys. That's about, I think, all that we can say about the Grinch as a thief rogue, or thief rogue, then eventually paladin to paladin of Christmas, paladin of frosty cheer. We also had a really good examination of the chaotic evil cleric Castile the Omen. I really like this character. I really think that this is unique, and this totally is an example of like just why we do this, why we're doing it, and why we do it randomly, because this is a character that I never would have come up with on my own. So I think I'll just kind of open it up to you guys. Do you have anything else you want to toss in? Anything else you want to share?
I would actually like to give you a resounding I completely agree. I would not have developed this character without essentially kind of spitballing it with what is gonna, you guys what would be kind of my party. Like, this is not a character that I would feel comfortable really in just bringing surprise to a group, but now that we have kind of all gotten a chance to really hash out who they are and what they are, I would feel much more comfortable in bringing this to a group now that I have gotten a chance to work it over with the party.
Peyton, you have anything?
I agree. I mean, we really let the dice kind of direct us with this character. She kind of rolled herself. I mean, in almost all aspects. I feel like. I mean, I'm still fairly new to D&D, and I mean, I feel like I have enough experience at this point to be somewhat confident in this character, but still as a newer player myself, I don't know if I would take on this role playing this character.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this might be one that I think is a good example of, like you said, this may be taking a little bit more of an experienced player. This also kind of comes into the idea that character creation sometimes doesn't need to be just this solo project, that sometimes you do need to come and bring it to the table prior to everything so that you can make sure that you've got a character that will work within, everybody else's parameters. And then this could develop, we kept making these connections to this character and potentially Aurora, one of the past characters. And then, I like the idea of two players coming together previously and saying how, okay, let's have this thread that pulls both of us along together. So I think that this is a cool character because it encourages communication and collaboration with your players, which is always a good. Well, boys, this has been a fun one. This has been Roll Your Stats. We'll catch you next time.
I also want to add real quick as a side note as well, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are all of our social medias. Thank you all again.
Yeah, do all those things. This has been Trevor.
I'm Michael.
And Peyton.
And this has been Roll Your Stats.